This UCLA Penn State game is a battle of two quarterbacks who are down pretty bad. Nico Iamaleava and Drew Allar. Who has got it worse?
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever it's your podcast and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Welcome back, everydayers. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned for later with highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. What we're talking about today, which quarterback's got it worse? Who's down bad even more? Is it Drew Allar or Nico Iamaleava? Meanwhile, we transition to basketball in the second segment, talking the Final Four dark horses and the importance of UCLA's exhibition against San Diego State. And finally, a couple more keys and tidbits to UCLA Penn State, the game on October 4th. So here we go. Drew Allar and Nico. Who's down bad more? You've got Nico, who has been bombarded. Everybody has criticized, including myself, the decision and all the behind-the-scenes goings-on of him coming to UCLA, Madden coming to UCLA, him leaving Tennessee, mainly his camp, and then deciding to come to UCLA, and all of a sudden, it's turned out bad. Joey Aguilar is having the time of his life, putting up numbers in Knoxville, and they're having an offensive juggernaut out with the Volunteers. And then you've got Nico, who might very well be quarterbacking one of the worst teams in the FBS right now. That is how bad UCLA has played, losing to UNLV, getting down big, losing big to New Mexico, getting down 3 scores to Northwestern on the road, a team who is not that much better than UCLA, and the Bruins still couldn't win what could have been one of their only chances to get a win this year. Not a Big Ten win, a win in 2025. That is how much Nico's stock has fallen, that there's not really a chance the rest of this season can prove he's an NFL draftee. That's, it's not worth him going out and having his stock decline like this. It's one of the more, you could argue, laughable decisions with how it's played out at the moment, the Aguilar versus Nico trade from Tennessee and UCLA, and just where the state of the Bruins program is, and most likely Nico just heading out after this year. Then you look at Drew Allar for Penn State, who's just been put in as, he's the hype machine. This is the guy who's the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And in every big game and every big moment Penn State has, just like the recent whiteout game against Oregon, it's come down to either mediocre play or, in his case, a late game pick in double OT against the Oregon Ducks, where sometimes I'd see Drew Allar be put as labeled as the best quarterback in the Big Ten. I just can't see it. And it's like, well, okay. So when it comes to who's made the worst decision? Well, obviously, Nico's move to UCLA has proven to be one that sped up the timeline for Deshaun Foster's firing, one that's just kind of changed how the UCLA program was going to go. Unfortunately, we all thought for the better. It's happened much worse, and the Nico situation has been a cautionary tale, and for the Tennessee Volunteer fans, a laughing stock as to how it's happened, because Nico, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, only 788 yards passing through 4 games, and then 200 yards rushing with a touchdown. So 3 picks, 4 passing touchdowns, 4 touchdowns accounted for overall for a team that hasn't scored any first quarter points and is struggling to protect Nico. The situation around Nico and the situation that's been put around him is just not that good compared to what it could have been at Tennessee. And then you look at Drew Allar, who is in a very different situation on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of team success and team atmosphere, right? And they have their head coach in James Franklin, who's been questioned as, is he big game James, or is he just the James flop, right? Is he just flopping in these big games? Whether it's usually Ohio State in the whiteout game. If there's Michigan, it could have been Michigan. In this case, it was Oregon. When it came to getting to the championship game, all they had to do was win one more game in the semi, and they could have shocked everybody and potentially faced off against Ohio State in the championship game in the CFP a year ago. And instead, they continued to fail. But still, now there's calls for James Franklin's job. So you got 2 quarterbacks whose draft stocks have tanked. And in terms of overall play and stability, you look at Drew Allar, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks in 4 games, 62% completion percentage. He's got 763 yards, averaging 190 yards per game in this season. He's got 69 yards rushing. I've seen some tidbits. Franklin talk about maybe getting Allar more as a dual threat option. But in terms of the more athletic, the more opportune guy, Nico has a higher ceiling to revitalize his draft stock, mainly because he's got 2 years left of college football eligibility. And he can leave after this year. He can go transfer someone else and rebuild his stock. But the situation that he's transferred into has just been way, way, way worse than Drew Allar. In terms of Allar, though, a guy who is a senior, has all the eligibility exhausted, played 10 games in his freshman year, no starts at Penn State, has been the unquestioned starter for 3 seasons, has only averaged 207 yards per game. And if you really want to label him as a poor man's J.J. McCarthy, even McCarthy before he got hurt had a good game in his second year at the NFL after sitting out the first year injured. McCarthy had 3,000 yards 1 year or close to it passing in 2023 with 22 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And you think maybe Drew Allar's had similar numbers. But the thing is with McCarthy, he went 1-0 with Michigan. As much as we talk about the Connor Stallions thing as the optics overlooking Jim Harbaugh's tenure and the Michigan championship, they still went and won the big games, whether it was beating Alabama in the Rose Bowl at the time, the 4-team playoff, winning the Big Ten championship game, getting in and winning it all. All right, that's what Michigan was able to do. And Drew Allar hasn't proven to be able to do that, despite his numbers being very similar to what you could argue J.J. McCarthy is in his 2 to 3 years as a starting quarterback. He wins one big game and the narrative shifts. For Nico, it's going to take a lot more. But he has more time to prove it. For Drew Allar, this is his last shot. This is his last opportunity. And this UCLA Penn State game is not going to prove for either Nico unless he comes out, has a 300-yard performance. Jerry Neuheisel is calling the best game of his life in his first game as a play caller, and they upset Penn State in what would be one of the biggest upsets in college football history. That could change a lot of narratives and earn him some money in the transfer portal in this upcoming offseason. While for Drew Allar, the UCLA game's not going to do anything for him. Whether he has the best individual game of his life, everybody's going to laugh and say, well, look at UCLA's defense. They haven't done a lot. So who's down bad more? Nico, in terms of decision-making, has more time, but needs to prove more. Drew Allar, you kind of see what it is. Kind of a less rushing threat, lesser version of a J.J. McCarthy, less time, but a better situation, and might be just a career backup in the NFL. All right. So who's down bad more? They're both down very bad. NFL draft stocks dropping significantly. The optics from very different perspectives have dropped significantly since the season start. And here they are facing off in a Big Ten battle. One that nobody would have thought. If UCLA didn't ever get Nico, maybe it could have been a Penn State-Tennessee game in the playoff this year if that was the case. Nope. Here we are in UCLA's second Big Ten game. And for Penn State, they're just trying to knock off what was any upset potential and just say, all right, let's go steamroll the Bruins. So Nico, more time, has to prove it over a larger sample size. Allar has to win one big game and have one big performance, and he will go another round or two higher in the draft than he's supposed to, or 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 picks higher if he has a big game performance in a potential Big Ten championship game, or if he just does it in the playoff 1 to 2 to 3 times. So he only needs 3 games of significance to jump his draft stock in his last year at college, while Nico has more time if he puts himself in the right situation in his camp, find the right place. If that's at UCLA, most likely not, or elsewhere. Fascinating topic, though. Next, UCLA is one of John Rothstein's top dark horses to make the Final Four, but so is one of their exhibition opponents. We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining. And there are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and keep moving the game forward. So this week's moment, we're going to go back to Nittany Lions. He's been moving the Bruins forward. They've been struggling to put up points, but Nittany Lions has been absolutely lights out kicking the football. So when he's been making all those field goals, multiple last week against Northwestern, he's been moving the Bruins forward offensively on the scoreboard and doing his thing when he gets his opportunities. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered. Powered by DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. And hey, think about it. For UCLA, it was Isaiah Chisholm. He's been around the whole season, fighting through it defensively, and he's come through one of the second leading tacklers on this UCLA's defense when it comes to getting tackles. It's no hesitation, no delay. Week after week, the performance isn't a fluke. You've got Isaiah Chisholm, who's on a streak. And just like Isaiah Chisholm for UCLA, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. And with DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 with DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period is available through November 18th. Cruising on here, we're talking UCLA basketball. The Bruins are a dark horse Final Four team. I've had various guests on, from former national champion with Chris Johnson of those four letters. You've got the likes of Joe Tipton, who's been on. We've talked to Isaac Shade, and we've talked to the likes of Andy Patton. All varying perspectives of what this UCLA team could be, but the eyes are on the Bruins. They're here looking and readying themselves for a campaign that is like any other. One that could define Mick Cronin's tenure into furthering a successful campaign at UCLA. Maybe it's an individual year of glory for UCLA and Westwood, or it's the beginning of the ends, all right? Because this has been, year 6 for Mick Cronin. He's got arguably the best player available in the transfer portal. You can argue whether Donovan Dent is either 1, 2, or 3, 1A, 1B in the best addition from the transfer portal to for a team of significance like UCLA at a position of need. Now, all the noise was Adamara leaving, and here they are without a lot of front court depth. Mick Cronin's already come out, and we believe there'll be 1, 2, 3 different guys, he said, that could rotate in between a Booker, the once heralded, highly coveted prospect at a high school from Michigan State transferring in. Is it Steven Jamerson from San Diego, who, with the various guests we've had on, have kind of poked to him and saying, hey, this is a guy that could step in and realistically be a contributing starter? Or is it Anthony Peoples Jr., who will play some reserve minutes and maybe, if necessary, maybe 10 to 15 in some games with all the travel UCLA still has to do in the back half of their Big Ten schedule? Now, the funny thing is you have John Rothstein of CBS Sports, who put UCLA as one of the dark horse teams. And the other team from the West Coast that was a dark horse Final Four team was San Diego State, because they had the return of Magoon Guath, who was a guy I was hoping that if UCLA was able to pay a pretty penny, pony up a nice NIL deal, could have lured him just a couple hours north to Westwood, and then the Bruins would have shored up what is a bit of a weak front court. Now, San Diego State was able to bring him back, not only just to stay, but shore up a team that is looking to win the Mountain West before they transition to the new look Pac-12, before the conference realigns once again. And for San Diego State, they've always been on the precipice. They're just a few years removed from a national championship game appearance, even more recently than UCLA's way back in 2006. So that's a program that's been defining, maybe even more so than Gonzaga the last few years, a team of success, although San Diego State trying to replicate what they did a few years ago, a team of that magnitude, getting all the way to the final game, losing to UConn. So that game, in just a couple weeks' time, in the middle of October, could be one of those games that used to be behind a closed door, and we'd have to talk about it like it was UCLA's dream season when they had won the Pac-12. UCLA won a high-scoring game against San Diego State in a closed-door scrimmage. And San Diego State was the team that made it to the championship game. And then last year, we had UCLA get dominated in that closed-door scrimmage, a little controlled environment. Sometimes they play 3 periods instead of 2, or halves, or whatever it looks like. And UCLA was dominated, and we saw that some guys can light it up for 3 against the Bruins. We saw that in the San Diego State scrimmage looking at the numbers. But now, this isn't a game. While it is an exhibition, that's going to be open to the public. The first public viewing for the Bruins in the offseason that's not just a non-D1. We've seen big matchups build up as an opportunity for other programs to bring in big teams and play. Yes, we might forget about it. We might bat our eyes at it. Forget, we're not going to bat an eye on it when it's on like a Sports Center or something. But UCLA's now got one of those games where we're going to watch with some intensity. And Mick Cronin's not going to give away all the secrets. But being able to see how Donovan Dent can turn this team into something special is important because this is a non-conference schedule, exhibitions not included. That UCLA needs to rack up, 10 wins to 1 loss in their, about 11 games in this in this non-conference. Even Jackson Shellstad for Oregon just got hurt. They just announced it has a broken hand and is out for 6 weeks. And now he'll probably have returned and gotten a few games under his belt by the time Oregon plays UCLA in the early 2 Big Ten games. But that's something that could hurt Oregon's standing in the non-conference and not make that game as much of a marquee as it could have been, like last year's UCLA win over Oregon was for their national ranking. So the Bruins have to do a lot of work. If they can win in their non-conference battles, they have to beat Arizona. Got to beat Gonzaga. Take care of all those relatively easy non-conference games, a lot of which are at home or very close to home, no travel whatsoever, other than a flight to Seattle. Then the Bruins can get themselves a much easier path. Because last year the NCAA tournament did not respect it. And you get an early miniature test against San Diego State. That's not going to count for any net. It'll just be all eyeballs and optics. And depending on how you perform, can somewhat influence the final preseason AP Top 25 vote, which definitely counts. I know the net is a big thing. How you play on the road, on neutral sites wins, everything the Big Ten. But how you perform against what could be the other West Coast contender for that dark horse spot, one that could put you and vault you into higher seeding or better seeding, a closer to home game, then yes, that's a good opportunity for UCLA to take advantage of that game against San Diego State, where they're going to have the supreme advantage inside. How can the Bruins take advantage of the guard play in that game? Well, we can have a little more of a full dissecting of that matchup, but that's just how important that exhibition game is, which normally behind closed doors we have to kind of talk about. Now, boom, open to the public. And it's at Viejas. Should be a packed-out arena, even though it doesn't even technically count. And here we are, UCLA, dark horse contender. If they can get in that top 3, a competitive top 3, not a 3-way or 4-way tie in Big Ten conference play, if they can earn a top 3 seed, earn that double bye, and now the full 18-team Big Ten conference tournament, then UCLA will prove that, hey, they belong in the Big Ten basketball-wise. They belong to have a high seed, not get underseeded as a 7, but into that 3 or 4 seed on the West Coast. Even talking to Andy Patton of Locked On College Basketball, there's not a good consensus about where the West Coast teams are this year. Is it Oregon? Is it Arizona? Those are 2 of the top-ranked West Coast teams. Gonzaga is not having that preseason love, depending on how they get, if they're one of their players is eligible at the moment. And then there's UCLA, who's probably expected to run the West this year, get that highest seed, and play close to home until the potential Final Four berth. But you got to go out and earn it. Got to go beat those 2 West Coast contenders, beat them in the conference, and you might, just might, get that respect you're getting like from John Rothstein, or what I'm hoping, because I thought last year's team had improved significantly enough to do it. But with a lot of those key pieces returning, upgrading, and some addition by subtraction, just some decent play in the front court, and the Bruins could be dancing for a very long time into April. And not just early April, a week into April, which could be Final Four time. Next, we're talking a little bit UCLA, Penn State, a couple of final thoughts, keys about that matchup of the Rose Bowl on Saturday. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's the most advanced equipment yet from Peloton, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. And this is what I like about the Peloton IQ system. Real-time strength coaching, tracking your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making you rep even safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus today at that's the word one, Peloton.com. All right, so looking at this UCLA Penn State line, you've got a team that is favored by almost 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, not exactly 28. I've seen around the line hover around 24 to 25, maybe even 26 and a half by the time this game kicks off. So I hope UCLA can be respectful in this game, respectable, at least on the field, that they come out and can maybe make this a 3-score game. Maybe make this like a 17-point game. In other games when they get down 17-0, it's been kind of embarrassing. In this game, it's very much expected. In a Rose Bowl that unfortunately, with the blowout and with the students returning to campus, a beautiful midday game, national television on CBS, normally a spot that was reserved for the SEC games. You got Gary Danielson coming. You got Brad Nessler on the call. How do the Bruins just not embarrass themselves as they continue through this coaching search, continue through the optics of switching offensive coordinators? A couple of weeks after Akak Molloy was mutually departing, just like Tino Sunseri was. And you got Jerry Neuheisel with Noel Mazzoni, who's been confirmed that he is coming to UCLA as an offensive analyst to help maybe influence the plays, maybe get the Bruins on the right track, simplify things. Because again, what was a long list under Chip Kelly into now interim Tim Skipper, you have a lot of defensive coordinators. And now here's UCLA running their third or fourth offense in just 2.5 years, right? You go from Chip, Eric Bieniemy, to Tino Sunseri, to Jerry Neuheisel as the play caller. After just 4 games, where you could have done that at the bye week, but after another poor performance by the Bruins against Northwestern, they have to prove they have something to fight for, prove that they're out there to perform and give the fans something to cheer about and showcase this is a program worth coaching. And it might not even be these same players who are here next year, a lot of which will transfer, whether they're whispering it, talking it out loud. The thoughts that, oh, they're all going to redshirt, I think that was a little overblown, that they're just going to redshirt. Some of these guys have already utilized that redshirt in an injury status or some case. And hey, there's no better time than playing right now to prove that if you're in a better system, you might have a better spot elsewhere. For the Bruins, this is a prime opportunity, could have been, to have a nationally televised game, a big crowd against Penn State, where there's going to be a lot more Penn State fans. The ticket prices drop, and I just hope it's not embarrassing. An angry Penn State team. It's not a team that's coming off a win in the whiteout and is overlooking UCLA. This is a team that's angry and that's dangerous. And it's not a Penn State team that any type of win over UCLA is going to impress anybody. If anything, they might get dropped if they don't perform up to expectation against the Bruins, where the last line I saw, maybe 25.5 in this game? That's just absurd. As UCLA, as the home dog, 25.5. They played a lot better last year with a backup quarterback at Penn State who had just as high of expectations. And maybe the Bruins can come out and play this one closer than expected. That's kind of how they did it last year when they were expected to get blown out. And Penn State, I thought, was a little overrated. And here they are, just off a horrible loss in many eyes, if they're trying to be a national contender, coming to UCLA, Pasadena in the Rose Bowl, trying to exercise some demons, right? Penn State once lost to USC, came back and beat Utah the last time I think they were at the Rose Bowl. So they want to have some good memories and enjoy the SoCal weather because it's fall just about everywhere else other than Southern California. And the only thing falling right now in SoCal is the UCLA program. Can the Bruins score first? What's the offensive play design going to look like? Is it going to be similar to Tino's sets? Is it Jerry just calling different plays? Or are they simplifying things and making it a lot easier for Nico to have quick throws, quick releases, and have him get out of the pocket or maybe stay in the pocket a little bit more and get those receivers open? Look for Rico Flores Jr. to be a guy that could feature in the first quarter because he's just come back his second game after returning from a long injury stint, returning against Northwestern, made some early catches. Maybe this opens up Quasi Gilmer, who had a big touchdown catch a week ago, or Titus Mokiao-Atamala, or one of those guys. Maybe you can get the tight ends involved a little bit more. One breakout run from a running back would not hurt either. The Bruins need to go out and make an early play because even teams that aren't as good, who are big underdogs, can go out and score first quarter points, touchdown or touchdowns, and showcase that they had a good game plan, a good script. And this could really enhance the coaching career of Jerry Neuheisel if he has a good performance, despite him being put in a bad spot to be a coordinator sometime, or really take that leap up from position coach to maybe one day UCLA head coach, if that's somewhere down the line in the future. Not now, definitely not now, and definitely not UCLA offensive coordinator, I think, in years to come. But one of those where it's like he's got his feet wet, and maybe he goes elsewhere, maybe he stays at UCLA, but this is a good little taste of what it's like at the Power 4 level to be a coordinator. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully the Bruins are adequate enough to make this game watchable. We'll have the post-game reaction right after, as we do always on this channel, right here on Locked On UCLA. And if you're there, come check out. I'll be playing video games, EA College Football 26. I'll be a guest. It'll be live streamed, I believe, on Twitch. And you can go check it out. It's a championship rally cry tour. I'll be playing as a guest at 10 a.m. at the Rose Bowl. If you want to go challenge me, College Football 26, I'll play somebody. You guys will probably beat me. But if you want to meet me, say what's up, I'll be there before the game, before, enjoying the rest of the podcast and everything else. But hey, if you want to beat me in College Football 26, come challenge me. I can guarantee you'll probably beat me, but I'll be practicing all night anyways. Hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight by fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.